Over 13 years as the Deputy State Superintendent in Wyoming for the Department of Education, I've done a variety of after-action reviews. And I also want to thank Allison and Heather at the National Comprehensive Center for coming to Wyoming and doing an after-action review related to COVID implementation planning. Such an important step in how much we've learned in those large projects. When you think about after-action reviews, you think it really is a structured process to gather qualitative reflections and implementation of a plan, strategy, or activity. My experience is that people sometimes don't take time out, but we all know that we can learn from history. SEAs can discuss practices that facilitated or hindered effective use of ESSER funds, practices and ways of working that will support sustainability of investment, and explicitly connecting past experiences with future actions. An AAR is a critical but often neglected activity. People sometimes don't take time out to reflect and determine what they've learned, what mistakes were made, and how they can move forward and improve. Next slide, please. When you think about after-action review and the reflective process, it's important to think about planning for the AAR. And I'll just mention a couple of things as we move forward. Planning includes logistics, the right people, internal people, the right people externally that have participated in the planning or project. The next step is really thinking about how to conduct and who to invite again and facilitate, and all of the rules that will need to be assigned prior to doing the AAR. The next step is follow up on immediate recommendations. Again, reflection allows us to look at what worked and what didn't work, and how do we change as we move forward in our processes or procedures within the SEA. And then finally, and one of the most important, is what lessons have we learned and how do we apply those lessons to future projects or future endeavors that the SEA is supporting. I'd also like to just make mention, I'm actually the co-director with Susan Chevy of the Region 11 Comprehensive Center. And we've used the AAR process. We've also used, Plus Delta for short cycle continuous improvement. And we've used both of those tactics on several occasions in our work over the 4.5 years. Next slide, please. Really, there are two types of AARs, formal and informal. The formal probably, I've used that with more long-term projects or initiatives, and can be used. The leader or facilitator conducts and can include external observers. And I would say that's critical. Think about those external colleagues, whether it's SEAs or LEAs or schools that have participated in the process and that can give us valuable insights in their reflections. Typically, you spend more time with formal after-action reviews. You schedule those well in advance, and also you want to select a site where people can attend. And again, I have not done these virtually, but have done them more in person. And they're conducted where best supported. Informally, and you'll hear about the after-action guide. It really is a guide with lots of resources and a litany of questions that can be asked. But the informal after-action reviews could be done after a major step in a project, and they're conducted by internal staff. And again, you could invite external colleagues to that. They typically take less time, and in the guide, you'll find a series of questions. You can select questions for shorter informal after-action reviews. They're scheduled when needed, and they're conducted at the event or project site or at the organization. I typically like selecting a site where people can travel to it quickly and nobody's punished for that. And again, informal after-action reviews typically take less time. people, partnerships, collaboration, and co-creation. When you think about planning the AAR, it's really important to make sure that you have a strong facilitator and that you take time to identify the group. And don't forget administrative support. They do a lot of our work and they understand the processes that have been used. Think about the date, time, and location, and make sure that you can invite all of the group members that can participate. For example, like Kathleen talked about the work group. Those folks are critical. Be clear about the meeting roles, the facilitator's role, the note taker, the timekeeper. Confirmation of the event in a project's mission, purpose, and intended results. Make sure that you identify ground rules. One of the things that I've seen missing in large projects is the whole notion of knowledge management systems used to archive documents so that they're easily accessible, meeting notes, those kinds of things. But it sounds like Kathleen and the Jackies have already started and been doing their AAR, so congratulations to them. Have really appreciated hearing from them. Next slide, please. Just want to take a moment to make sure that you know what this after action guide looks like. There's a QR code for you, but I wanted to spend just a little time. This is really a turnkey system. It has instructions in the front. It's not dense. It was designed for practitioners. But in the appendices, I wanted to just point out some of the tools that can be used. First tool is the planning checklist. It just helps you make sure that you've considered all of the points in getting the right people, the location, and the right documents together. Also, there's a list of ground rules that we've used before. There's a list of after action review key questions. And for those folks that can't attend in person, you can sometimes select key questions out of that list and send that to them and ask them to respond. Additionally, there's a review template that talks about the questions, but more important, allows you to identify certain patterns and themes, which will be helpful to go back to the things that worked and to improve the things that didn't work. I really appreciated the appendix 5 whys. That helped our teams to really narrow in the problems because there's typically in large projects multiple problems.
So we want to just invite you to take one short breath and think about these 4 questions. Who needs to be invited? When might we conduct an after-action review? Do we want to conduct it now or after the ARP funds expire? I know a lot of SEAs right now are encouraging LEAs to think about the trade-offs now rather than later. So perhaps we as SEAs need to be thinking similarly. Where will we hold it and who might facilitate?